Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Phil McNichol. I'm the contingent leader for the Queensland contingent to the 2015 Australian Venture. This evening we're going to talk about the information we think you need to know about attending the venture as part of the Queensland contingent. There'll be a number of people speaking. I will start the evening covering off a number of topics, and the rest of the team will cover off their particular area. The rest of the team who will be speaking tonight is Chris Dunn, the Administration Director, who will talk about the application process. Sean Sandlands, the Marketing Director, who will talk about the information that has gone out with regard to marketing and what will continue to do so. Vicky Nopke, our Transport Director, and Kelly Martin, who is coordinating the pre-venture tour. So basically any adult in the movement is eligible to go along to the venture and work at the venture, plus venture scouts, but also girl guides. There is a sheet of information that Chris will talk to you about when he gets onto his part, but it sets out the eligibility requirements and it goes in through detail about what venture scouts must have: guides, rovers, leaders and other adults. But basically, as far as the youth members, youth participants are concerned, they need to be of venture age by the start of the venture, which means, given that it is, we say they must be between the age of 14 and 18, but there is another requirement: they need to hold their Venturing Skills Award. So a scout can advance to ventures, or someone can join ventures at 14, but it's going to take them a period of time to earn their Venturing Skills Award. So I'd be very surprised if anybody who's 14 years and one day at the start of the venture. But effectively it means that people who are currently in Scouts should be looking at considering whether by January next year they'd like to come to the venture, if they're of venture age. So we're not just limiting our promotion to venturers, it's also to the older Scouts. So I'd like to get that message out. We have sent information to all the Scout groups with a Scout troop or a venture unit. Said that over Christmas, and to all the group leaders have asked them to pass that information on to make their Scout troop and venture unit aware of the promotional information that we've sent out. And the final point there is that anybody who's coming from Queensland must be part of the contingent. So there is an opportunity for rovers to go as, or leaders to go as day workers. Usually is. If that is the case, if they're already in South Australia at the time, they made their own way there. They're sort of fully independent in that regard. If they're from Queensland, if they're registered as a Queensland member, they must be part of the Queensland contingent. So what is AV2015? As I said, 16th Australian Venture. The theme of Heaps Good. Going to be held fundamentally at the Woodhouse Scout Activity Centre in Adelaide. It's a lovely spot up in the hills, a bit cooler than Adelaide itself, but it's a very pretty spot. However, in summer it can also be very hot, and being in the Adelaide Hills, there is the real potential of fires, and so that's a major concern for the organising committee. But notwithstanding fires, it's a great place, and it's a great location in the state. There's a lot of things to do, north, south, east and west of there, so we'll talk about that in a moment. Ventures aren't as large as jamborees, but then the venture section isn't as large as the Scout section. So we still have a lot of people there. Tend not to have sub-camps. That just doesn't really justify it. But we have venture units, and the units aren't made up from people that you go to Scouts on a regular basis. They're made up by people from across the country who have a common interest with you. So organisationally, you'll be, for those who attend, you'll be in a venture unit and of maybe 18 venturers and 2 leaders. You'll sleep in your own hike tents. You'll take your own tent, so we're not camping in patrol tents or anything large like that. And but you don't have to cook, which is another difference. There is a central mess where everybody lines up and gets fed 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. First part of the venture isn't actually the venture site. We have with the expeditions, and we'll talk about those in a moment. But immediately after the opening ceremony, everyone's going to be broken up into their expeditions. They're going to meet the other 17 venturers in their unit and their 2 unit leaders who they haven't met before, don't know from Adam. and they're going to go off on buses to all parts of the state. And then they'll be there for the next 4 nights doing their expedition, and at the end that venture unit will come back to the venture site and they'll camp as a venture unit, and then they'll organise themselves. Now after they get back to the venture site, there's a lot more, freedom's the wrong term, but a lot more self-choice. So the venturers will be able to do on-site activities, they'll be able to do organised activities off-site, so there'll be day tours, half-day tours, and it's really their choice whether the venturers do the activity, or, which ones they do on-site, which ones they do off-site, whether they do it with the people in their venture unit, or their mates from home, or just there's somebody that they meet at the venture. So really it's, once they're there, the role of the leader is to look after the welfare of the venturers. It's the role of the venturers to make sure they have a good time, because there's so much to do. They just have to make an effort to pick something, get out of bed in time for the bus, and away they go. Getting out of bed in the morning sometimes a bit of a challenge for them. As I said, out in the Woodhouse Activity Centre in the Adelaide Hills, it is close to Adelaide. You can look it up on Google Maps and see where it is. It's next to a winery. There's a number of wineries up there. It's a nice spot. Lots of space. So currently, if you go onto the AV website, there's a page on expeditions, and there's I think there's 25 expeditions which the organisers have proposed. Now they're not all going to go ahead. What they're looking for is an indication of interest. So venturers will register for activities. When it comes to allocating, when it comes to deciding which expeditions go ahead, they'll look at the ones that are well subscribed and they're definitely going to happen. The ones that really have only got 3 or 4 people say they want to do that thing, they'll say, okay, we're going to have to knock that off and move those people into their next preference, into their number 2 preference. But when you look at those list of expeditions, they are enormous. There are some really challenging ones. There are some that rely on previous skills. So typically there is a learn to dive scuba type expedition. There's another one. There are other ones where you're expected to know how to dive, and they're saying, okay, well, we need to do some reef and wreck diving. Tall ship sailing is always a popular activity. I don't know why. Maybe people who don't get seasick like me. Kangaroo Island, I'm told, is a fabulous spot. There's a number of things going on in Kangaroo Island. There's hikes happening there. There's activities on the coast. So I think the South Australians are very proud of Kangaroo Island. 3-state kayak tour, so you can imagine that's going to go over the New South Wales, Victorian, South Australian border and do kayaking on the rivers there. Kangaroo Island bushwalk. Jack and Jillaroos would be a farm stay type activity, so they have do a range of things, I suppose, working with animals, maybe riding horses. You can certainly read the details online. Mount Gambier caving, so there's some fabulous caves down there. The Heaps Good race is like the television great race thing, so it's going to be around Adelaide, and I remember seeing that a few ventures ago, a similar activity, and there were some fairly stonkered looking venturers after 3 days of running around. In that case it was Perth, but it's hard work. And the gastronomic delights that's mentioned here, I believe, is being run out partly in the Barossa Valley, so they'll be going there and seeing all the vineyards, but also the foodie type places there. And then there's a Sun and Sand, which is a sort of more laid back, stay at the beach and do activities on the beach or in the water. But that's only some of the activities. There's one that I think is truly adventurous, which is exciting, and that's where the organisers have got if you're a rev head, a petrol head, there's an opportunity to build a car over 4 days and then take it out on a track and race it. And I think that's just if that one goes ahead, I think it's a fabulous one. If you're so inclined, but it's really off the wall. It's an experience that most people would never get.
Hi, my name's Chris Dunn, and as Phil alluded to, I am the admin director for AV2015 Queensland Contingent.
The first thing that I need to start with is applications have not closed. The date that was advertised of the 1st of March 2014 is the date in which the first payment was due. As far as applications closing, that will not be happening until later in the year. At this stage we haven't been advised of a date, but I'm imagining somewhere around October will be when that will happen. What that in turn means is that for all applications that are received now, they have to be submitted with their first payment or advice on when that payment's going to be made. As far as the application process is concerned, which you can see on the slide, it goes through different stages. Your initial stage is when you actually express interest to attend. Once you've completed all the relevant fields, including the expedition allocations, then you can submit your application. At this point you'll be prompted to print your form off and get the relevant signatures, so group leader, section leader, district commissioner, whoever you are required to get as per the information sheet. Once all the relevant signatures have been received, you need to then go through and mail your form to the post office box that's on the information form there. At that point I receive the application form, and with a completed application form including signatures and your first payment, I'll make your application BHQ approved and then send the relevant information through to the VOC in Adelaide, and they will transfer your application to VOC approved when they are ready to do so. Another important part of the application process is the withdrawal process. If you find that you need to withdraw from your application from AV 2015, there is a outline process, and you need to email venture@scoutsqueensland.com.au, and at that point a withdrawal form will be sent to you. When that completed withdrawal form has been received back through that email address, that is when your withdrawal becomes formalised. As far as the withdrawal fees that are being imposed, the date in which you advise us when you are withdrawing is the date that we will be taking that into consideration from. And finally from me, contacting the contingent. There are a number of different ways that you can contact the contingent. We are using different processes. So there is the post office box of PO Box 8083 at Wynnum North, and I check that daily. We have an email address, venture@scoutsqueensland.com.au, and that email comes to me, and I will forward it to the relevant person within the team to answer any of your questions that you may have. There is also the Facebook page and also Twitter.
I'm Vicky Notkey. I'll be looking after transport for AV 2015. In looking after transport, we'll be including all transport we can as to and from Venture and pre-Venture tour. Transport includes your flights to and from Venture, and also includes transfers from Adelaide Airport to the start venue and then to Woodhouse. Transportation for the pre-Venture tour is all covered in our tour costs, and there will be availability of people travelling from other parts of Queensland to organise with me their needs. For those people that are travelling independently, again, they can organise that with me, and we'll talk about the details that individuals may need. Any transport that's changed after the booking dates may incur extra charges, as Chris said, depending on when the withdrawal date is, but I look forward to talking to you about transport.
Hi, I'm Sean, I'm the Marketing Director. I come up with all the fun stuff and send you out all your yummy freebies.
Alright, now I get to talk to you about the fun stuff, which is costs. So how much it's going to cost you as a venturer, scout or guide. So the cost for a venturer to attend, the base cost is $1,040. On top of that, you add your contingent fee, which is $155, and your contingent fee covers your bulletins and your contingent merchandise that you'll be provided with before the tour starts or before the venture starts. Your transportation fee is $464. That covers your transport from the venture home, and from home obviously down to the venture. That also includes your shuttle services from the airport in Adelaide to site and vice versa. So if you are finding your own transport down there, you will need to make sure that you pay a small fee to cover you to get from the airport to site. The pre-venture tour is $460, which Kelly went through earlier. So the total for a venturer to attend is $2,119, and that's with that pre-venture tour. And without the pre-venture tour, it's $1,659. Now, on top of that, you've got your expedition fee. Now, that varies on what expedition you're actually wanting to do. As Phil mentioned before, there's a variety of expeditions, and it really goes on what you want to do and your budget, of course. For Rover Scouts, leaders, and other adults, you get a little bit cheaper to the venture. So it's $730 is your base venture fee, and now that covers your accommodation on site, your activities on site if you're doing any. That also covers your food. You've got the same contingent fee because you get the same goodies as everyone else, so that's $155. Your transportation, which again is optional, but we'd strongly suggest going through our transport director, which is $464, and then obviously the pre-venture tour at $460. So total for a leader to attend is $1,809, and that's with the pre-venture tour, and without the pre-venture tour it's $1,349. And then of course on top of that you've got your expedition fee. The cost varies on expeditions chosen, and it will only apply to those allocated into a line leader role. So if you're not allocated to a line leader role or you're in a service role, you won't be paying that expedition because you won't be going on that expedition. We now have information available for the AV2015 Lord Baden-Powell grants. The grants are offered, they're not full venture payments, however they will assist families in sending youth members off to the event. For more information, you can contact the Queensland branch or our contingent leader Phil McNichol, and his details are through that venture at scoutqld.com.au site. Queensland branch also has the Disadvantage Fund, so if you'd like any more information on that, certainly get in contact with Phil, and he'll pass you on to the relevant branch people who can assist. So your next steps that you'll need to do to come along to AV 2015 is head to our website, av2015.scouts.com.au, fill out the form with all the correct information, otherwise you'll get a friendly email from our mate Chris telling you to where's this information or telling you to fill out more. Make sure you submit your form. Print off your application, get it signed with all your correct signatures. He will send it back if you don't have all those correct signatures, and make sure you send it in with payment. As it is after the 1st of March, you will need that first payment to go with it. And then after that, it's just basically keep up your payments and entice others to come to AV 2015. We will have a variety of competitions and referrals coming up throughout the year. So we've got some movie tickets and all sorts of fun prizes like that. So certainly make sure that you jump on board, and the more friends that you have coming to AV 2015, the better time you'll have. We thank you for taking the time to watch our presentation. We hope we see you at AV 2015, and don't forget, for more information, email venture@scoutqld.com.au. Check out our Facebook, we've got all sorts of fun competitions, or our Twitter, and we look forward on behalf of all the team to see you at AV 2015 on the 2nd of January.